Dozens yelling and screaming at a meeting where the Texas Southern University president was ousted by the Board of Regents. That move came down just hours ago. Our David Gonzalez is following the breaking story this morning. David.
Hey, Xavier, as you mentioned, that meeting going into the early morning hours here at Texas Southern University. And after a closed-door meeting that lasted 5 hours, Dr. Lane has been fired from his position, the board voting 6-1 to make that happen. And after that decision was made, you could imagine some of Lane's supporters who were at this meeting were very, very upset. Lane has been TSU's president since 2016, but was unexpectedly put on leave last month. Last night, the board accused Lane of being connected to an admissions scandal involving thousands of dollars and an employee who was fired. Behind the scenes, sources have told us that some board members have a personal vendetta against him and wanted him out. Lane has 30 days to fight the allegations against him, which he promises to do. The board has appointed Chief Financial Officer Kenneth Hewitt as interim president. Xavier, back to you.
All right, David Gonzalez with the very latest. All right, now to